Good morning. Okay. I will call to order the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners formal session for August 17th, 2023. It is 10:01 in the morning. And Commissioner Johnston, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and just as a reminder, the Board of Commissioners formal session schedule has been changed for the month of August. There will be no session on August 24th, 2023. Regular session schedules will resume the following week. That brings us to our calendar session. Commissioners, anything to add to the calendar for next week?
I just let Carolina know about local government advisory committee is Friday at 10 a.m. next Friday.
LGAC,
Yes,
10 a.m. Is that Zoom?
it's Zoom and Salem.
Okay. Okay. Anything else, Dan? Anything else, Dan? Ken?
It's not an addition, but just a really quick update as far as, because we do have something on the calendar for this evening, the local government dinner. And so I just communicated with Joya. And basically the venue's having AC issues and she's trying to find out, and we basically put a deadline that within the next hour, if we don't get an update that the system's going to be back up and running, we'll put out a cancellation notice and out to all the attendees. So I'll be watching that, and more than likely the events were going to be canceled this evening.
Okay. So that was for the city county dinner that was scheduled for tonight. Okay, if nothing else for the calendar session, we will move to public comment. This time period is reserved for public comment on any topic other than an agenda item, a quasi judicial land use matter, or a topic scheduled for a public hearing. So if you're in the audience and you have public comment on anything that's not on the agenda, or if you're online, if you have public comment to offer, please raise your virtual hand. Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will move on to our department updates. And today we are being joined by Shane Hoffman. Welcome, Shane. From Information Technology.
How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good.
Excellent. All right, well, yes. Can you hear me? Good.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to present the IT quarterly update. So we're going to kind of break into two categories. I'll talk a little bit about security, and then we'll talk about some of the major projects we've been focused on. For security, so our network administrator, Chris Roberts, he's been focused on what we call network segmentation. That's basically just putting in better security controls so we can control where traffic needs to go and where it doesn't need to go. This is a large project and it'll take a continued effort. So it'll take us some time, but we're working on it. We're working with CIS Security, that's the Center for Internet Security. And basically, we take advantage of a lot of security related items and things that they offer, such as policy templates. There's security assessment tools that we run and look at the information it provides. Cybersecurity training, you're all familiar with that, with KnowBe4. And this refers basically to the security information we send out, as well as the quarterly mandatory training, and of course, the phishing tests. So our last phishing test, we were around 8% for a click rate. The previous one was about 11.3, so trending in the right direction. Industry average is about 4 for an entity our size, a government entity with our head count. So we're still twice the average. So we do need to try to get that down. At one of the department head updates I offered, if we could, go to some of their group meetings and help in any way to do, maybe to provide some examples of, stuff that's actually getting blocked, but could get through and what they could expect, and kind of walk through, why you wouldn't want to click on it, things like that. And I had one department reach out, Cynthia Thompson reached out, so I'm going to set something up with her. So, we'll certainly help where we can. So like I said, we're heading in the right direction, but still a little high.
Yeah,
So-
it seems like something has changed within the past, I don't know, couple months, because a lot more of the sort of outside public comment emails are getting flagged
Mhm.
and then they're getting bumped to junk mail. So I don't know if our security has just increased, but I'm noticing that more and more. So
Interesting.
Good or
Well,
bad?
That's good to know. Yeah,
yeah,
we haven't really changed a lot. We have a couple of email filters at play that really look at that stuff and try to keep out as much as we can. Like, for example, though, we had one yesterday that someone sent to us that snuck through. So that's why it's really important that we can't just rely on our software and hardware products to keep everything out. So it's important to always have those best practices in mind and follow them. And again, I always remind everybody they're out on our intranet. And, the more that you reference that and put them in practice, at first it'll slow you down a little bit, but for me, it's just something I do naturally now. So it doesn't slow me down too much. So I can still get, go about my job, but still apply those concepts, especially when you start looking at links and attachments and such. So, let's see, Windows updates and patching. That's just a continual thing, just to make sure security flaws are resolved. We're always weekly, where we're looking at, security logs and taking remedial action as necessary. And as usual, I'd be more than happy to meet one-on-one if you have any other questions along the security lines, and we can discuss that. So some of the projects that we have going on. So of course, Oracle ERP and EPM are live. So my team is providing support as needed for that. Like if there's any workflow changes, things of that nature. So we're actively involved with that. We continue to provide a support role with Oracle HCM and payroll. My team has been involved with some aspects of the data load from GEMS to Oracle, actively involved in the project management team meetings, and then wherever else we can help out. I know there's quite a load for accounting and payroll and HR right now. They're doing a great job. So we're just trying to be there to support them in any way we can. We did have an unexpected expense. We were thinking GEMS was going to go away, this fiscal year. And since things have taken a little longer, I had to purchase 3 months of full access for GEMS. And then we'll have to have 1 year of read-only access so we can still reference it. And the long and short of that is it was about $65,000 I didn't have as a planned expense, but I've taken that hit in my budget. So I'm trying to make it work. So far it's working. So hopefully it won't be an issue, but I did want to mention that. OMI, Oregon Mutual Insurance Building. We've been setting that up, for UAT training. And now next week, we'll be going over there to set up some more workstations in preparation for Oracle Go Live. There's going to be quite a few people over there, especially for the time entry aspect. And it's going to be nice for them to have the dual monitors so they can have GEMS and Oracle up there. So I believe it's a week tomorrow that we'll be setting that up. I just want to say a huge thanks to Joe Moore and his team. He always provides the vans for moving the equipment over, and they actually help us set it up. So we really appreciate that. Let's see, we've been replacing a lot of failing NVRs, it's network video recorders. So NVRs and cameras in the county for a lot of departments. We've been replacing those as needed. Adding a lot of new sites to our new our DMP door control access. So moving away from Stanley. We implemented our new storage appliance, which was a planned capital expense for 22-23. That's in place. We now have improved internet resiliency. We've basically added another solution as we're depending more and more on cloud-based systems. I know that's a lot of departments are with some of the software they're using, and Oracle's another example. It's really important to have that uptime if one of your connections go down. So we have some more resiliency there now. Let's see, we assisted the sheriff's office with the body cam project implementation. We registered the county for a new .gov domain. So the .gov domain, if you're not aware, that's just more secure, more reliable. You have to submit evidence to the U.S. government that you are who you say you are before you can actually get registered. I believe Commissioner Berschauer, you actually had to sign off for us to be able to get that. So it's a big deal. And our new website will reflect that. And right now we're, as you probably see my email the other day, we're in the process of testing the yamhillcounty.gov email addresses in IT. And I'm looking for other testers so we can start testing with other departments. And we won't look to roll that out till Oracle kind of settles out, because
Mhm.
that's a big one coming
Yeah.
up next week. And that does affect, email addresses. So with logging in, so I wouldn't look to push that out, countywide till at least end of September, maybe in October. We'll just kind of see how that goes and get a feel for how smooth Oracle's going. But yeah, that's in progress. Let's see. We added some DDoS protection for our public facing website. Basically, DDoS is a denial of service. And it's basically just where the attacker kind of floods your server, if you will, and just overwhelms it with requests. So then when a user basically just can't use the resource on the server, it's basically unusable just because it's overwhelmed. So we put some protection in for that. Working with the tax assessor on the roll term process. My team is always working with Derek. They're always optimizing workflows and doing more automations each year. They keep getting better and better and streamlining that process. So that's good to see. We work with the city of Newburgh IT to basically get access to their permits. We're basically importing that into the tax assessor permit database that's on a schedule and comes in. Of course, GEM support, year-end service packs, hopefully no more. Hopefully last December was the last time for that. We're actively working on a new website project. That's going well. Justin's a project manager for that one. Let's see, we trained the rest of my programmer and business analysts on basically HHS. We wanted to be able to backfill for the senior programmer analyst there. So we might not be able to do everything, but when he's away or on vacation, at least we have some training that we can provide them some level of support if something goes south while he's out. So we did some cross training essentially. Computer replacements, upgrades to Windows 11, and then keeping Windows 10 on compliant releases is pretty much a full-time job. So we're really thankful that I think it's coming up a year in September since we hired our third program or a desktop support specialist, and that's being very helpful. So now we pretty much have one person dedicated to that, and the other two desktop support people are serving the rest of the county, and obviously very, very busy along with help desk. So let's see, we have a CJIS compliance project. They have new regulations and timeframes for implementation. So we've just basically been going through that. It's a project, and just some of it's policies, and some of it's they want to be able to track things like if there's any firmware changes or things like that. So we're having to look at software solutions and look at how we're going to fix that in preparation for the next time we get an audit. So we're basically, just working through all the checklist on that to make sure we can keep up. Let's see, and all my staff now, I work with HHS. We decided that since we have access to HIPAA related information, we should all take the HIPAA training. So we all just completed that. So on a yearly basis now, my team will have to take a workday training, which is from the state. And that's because we have access to child support records. And we also will have to take the HIPAA training once a year. And then the CJIS, Criminal Justice Information Systems, we have to take that training. That was every second year, but now it's going to be yearly as well. So it is pretty busy with doing those certifications, but they are necessary. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot more involved in those projects, but I kind of wanted to give you just a quick overview. Just a lot of balls in the air, a lot of things going on. So that's what I got for you. Yeah. Any questions or?
Technology changes so fast that we grow increasingly grateful for you and your team every day. It just seems like there's always something new. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, that we're I would say a relatively small team for this size of county, but we have really, really good people in the positions that we have over there, and they just do an outstanding job. And I think I'm biased, but it's a pleasure to work with them, and they deliver great customer service, and they're able just to take on a high volume of tickets too, and really and I think do a great job. So and we have great leadership here too. I mean, I like working with all the departments. They treat my staff really good. They're very understanding, and I think it's a great place to work, in my opinion.
Thank you.
So.
Well, we appreciate you and your staff. Whenever we have a crisis, we know that it will be averted quickly. So, and thank you for your, just in terms of your vigilance on the cybersecurity issues, because we've gotten caught up in the dragnet a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
We wound up on the list of shame that you sent out. These are so sophisticated that it's like, even when you see it, it's like, why is this not okay?
We hear your voice in our head.
Yeah.
Looking at these emails.
Yeah, well, just, at some point,
Would
it's
shake
gonna
you.
get tougher too, because, with the AI element out there now, I mean, those phishing emails, you're not gonna probably see as much the spelling errors. Some of the things are gonna be harder to pick out, so.
Yeah, there's
I'll
been
put-
some major breaches.
Yeah.
What was it? The banking system. I can't remember what that back end software is called, but
Yeah, there's been a lot with Move It, I think.
Move It. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So crazy.
yeah, and I stay actively involved in the GADM group as well, which is the Oregon Association of Government Information Technology Managers. That's a great group to keep everybody up to speed on what's happening, like with Curry County, when they got hit, they share as much information as they can. So that's really great to, to help us all out. We're all on the same team at the end of the day.
Thank
So,
you. Thanks,
Well, I
Jen.
guess I'll be visiting you soon for my laptop replacement.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Apparently after 2.5 years, it's already old. So
Anything
thank
else,
you.
or?
no,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, thank
Thank
you. It was a
you.
pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great day.
Thank you. You
Thanks, Jane.
too.
Okay. Let's see. That brings us to our work session. So there's nothing today. And item G is our consent agenda. There's quite a few items on here. Contracts, personnel contracts, various things. Commissioners, any questions about anything on the consent agenda?
None.
None other than, I know we had this discussion before with if the dollar amount changes, if we can just put in what it was changing from, even if it's an hourly rate, just kind of handy.
Okay.
Okay, I will move approval of the consent agenda. Is there further discussion?
None.
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Great, thank you. Motion passes. It was almost a full page of contracts. Okay, item H, old business. H1 is consideration of approval of a grant agreement between Yamhill County and Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency to implement investment strategies approved by the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners to add 30 new early care and education workers to the workforce and add 146 to 240 new childcare slots in the amount of $2,130,000 effective upon full execution and shall expire 12 months from that date. This was continued from August 3rd of 2023.
Chair, I'm going to recommend that we postpone taking action on this pending further discussion with staff. And I don't know whether we've got a lot of the brain trust in the room, whether we wind up asking questions now since everybody's here or whatever, but that's going to ultimately be my recommendation,
Pending further information.
pending further information.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Are there specific questions that you had lined up for the packet of information, the exhibits?
I do have one
I have-
question.
I have one question,
Oh,
so
okay,
maybe we bring up Jenna, if you wouldn't mind.
thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks to
Yeah.
everybody who came.
And if you could just state your name and address for the record, thank you.
You're welcome. Jenna Sanders. I am the Program Director of Child Care Resource and Referral Program of Community Action, Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency.
Thank you. Commissioner Starrett, do you want to go ahead?
I did, and thank you for the supplemental information. I know we fired a lot of questions at you last time we met. I had asked if there were, what slots were created for children, and this says that supporting increasing quality education. This is the impact to Yamhill County was almost 3,000 childcare slots. Can you give me a little bit more of a breakdown on that data specifically?
So in Yamhill County, at this moment, we have 97 licensed programs, and they can serve up to 2,884 children in those programs.
But you have not created, my question was, what number of slots have been created?
So we support all of those programs. So we don't create slots, we support the creation of slots.
Okay, I'm just trying to get to sort of the metadata of the
Okay.
2,800 in terms of in Yamhill County, because that's a large number.
It is a large
And we
number.
know that we have a great need and it's getting more and more acute.
Yeah.
So I guess I was looking for, when we have,
Would you like to know number of, I mean, what data would be helpful
Oh.
to break it down?
well, I guess what I'm saying is, we've got 2 million plus is a lot of
Yes,
money to say,
yes.
okay, here you go. And while we appreciate the work that everybody has done, I know personally, in terms of fiduciary responsibility and making sure we're doing fidelity to the ARPA guidelines, which are quite significant. This is not an indictment in any way on the work that you've done or the work you've presented to us or all the work that staff has put in to this contract. I guess what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, I still have so many questions and there are so many issues that are still outstanding internally. So I want to make sure that, that I feel like the board has gotten all the information that they need to have. And so that's why I was asking, a lot of it is aspirational. We intend to, and I know we had.
And I
some-
think we tried to take all of the aspirational language out this
Right.
time. So hopefully you
Yes.
don't see that anymore.
But I want to make sure that, when we do, like if I always try to think free market, if we
Right.
did a contract, free market, would the deliverables be a little bit more definite? And so I've got some reticence there. So that's, again, thank you for providing everything you provided for us and the information in the packet.
Is there specific data that would be helpful to you in addition to that? Like
Well,
breaking it down in a different way or?
Again, when you talk about programs supported and the trainings provided,
Mhm.
I want to make sure that we're not just kind of sort of using trainings that exist, trainings at the state level,
Right.
trainings that exist and say, okay, you can take these trainings and then say, that's a training we provided.
That is not at all. Our goal with this is to work in conjunction with WESD, with some other partners that have stepped up that said, hey, we really want to build a robust apprenticeship program that can then be sustainable and replicable and really be something that can be used ongoing in the county, but also just be something that is brand new because it's not something we're doing right now here. There are a few other counties that are exploring it as well, but in early childhood, we have not been doing apprentices. We don't have any kind of structure. And so the trainings we have now are not focused around, I mean, we have some basic level trainings to help people get licensed and all of that. But in terms of onboarding people into early childhood, this is a new project that there's a lot of excitement around. I met with Chemeketa Community College earlier this week. They're exploring apprenticeships in IT and have some lessons they've learned and offered to be a part of this cohort or coalition or group of people that really try and think about how can we do this in a way that where we're finding additional resources, state, federal, local resources to help fund this ongoing, but we really need to develop it before we can sell it, right?
Are you working with, because I know CTE, the Barbara Roberts, the career technical. They were.
I have Tanya Coker here with me from WESD and she
Oh.
can tell you what.
About what they're doing at CTE.
For Salem specifically.
No, I'm talking about in
Sheridan.
Sheridan.
Oh, in Sheridan.
And we know that when they opened, the whole premise was that one of the programs was actually going to be childcare and they'd be able to offer it on site as a sort of an apprentice program while they were going through that training. So is there a collaboration with them?
I spoke to them early last year when they were not yet ready to do it. I had not heard that they had moved forward with that. They are on my list of people to talk to in the next couple of weeks, because I did get some information that they were moving forward with it. Here comes Sue. Sue knows more about this.
She knows the neighborhood.
But
Yeah. I'm Sue Linsmeyer, Executive Director for Head Start of Yamhill County. I used to be a teacher in Sheridan as well and have many children in that community. We are working very closely with the district. Last year, they had some changes with the program that they had. So they had a preschool promise program. And they're working with an outside vendor right now. They had it internally. And so that was going to kind of be the way to get this idea off the ground. And there were some struggles with this new vendor doing preschool promise. So it's not done yet, but a very quality program needs to be there first and then bring the students in. And so I've been in conversations with the superintendent to say, we are a model program, but it's very hard to have something that's not on site, even though we're less than 3 miles away, it's kind of complicated to get kids there to do the practicum. So it's in process. There's just a lot. It's a big thing to do, especially in Sheridan. So.
And I know we have everybody's having a hard time hiring people.
Yes.
And it's like, no matter what you pay, you can't get the people. So I'm wondering, how do you get people who are to do childcare work when it seems to be, it's one of the hardest jobs out there. It can't by definition be one of the best paying. So you can try to pay it as much as you can, but just to get the bodies, to say that that's going to be something that we do, I think is kind of it's a tough lift.
It's tough, and our community colleges are starting to respond to the need. There have been some consortium opportunities developed at the state level, some funding to go out to really address this on a local level. So Chemeketa has just developed a consortium. They've asked the Head Start programs to support with that. It's just taking off. It's going to take several years because there hasn't been this attention. In the meantime, we're trying to address high school, I'm going to say middle school students too, I always say that, to know that if you like children, if you're looking for a career where you're going to make a difference, this is it. And the things that have been lacking, I would say locally, have been really the outreach to younger kids, to people entering the workforce, and then being able to provide them, I would say, a suite of opportunities locally, here in Yamhill County, where they can get the education, where they can come and see what a quality program is, where they can really sit down if they want to do their own business, which many people do because they have their own children, and to realize, I can make money doing this. I can be happy. I can get benefits. That's a big piece. And I can have support, which is really what the CCR&R does. I've been with CCR&R since 1980 when I was a childcare provider. And business has gotten very different. And so anyway, that's a piece of it. But then what Tanya's offering, we're all in this together trying to figure out, because we all need staff and our children need places to be. And we have thought, especially with children that are struggling with behavior problems. That's why a lot of people aren't wanting to be in the classroom, that they have these opportunities for CTEs that can happen right here in Yamhill County. So actually it could be high school students, it could be new staff, it could be experienced staff that are ready for the next thing in their lives. We want to do that at Head Start of Yamhill County as well. And it's complicated because right now, if they want to take classes at Chemeketa, they've had to go to Salem, which a lot of people won't do. So these are the opportunities that would bring things right here in Yamhill County. So this whole, I'm going to call it an adventure of bringing adults into the fold of what we do with children, which is so important, helping them to know all of the opportunities and being able to support them from, I'm thinking about this too, I'm doing this and I want to get to the next level. We even have people that I want to go all the way and get a bachelor's degree in infantile mental health, which is great. That's a very new topic. I didn't even know about it when I came here to Yamhill County. So it's a long haul, it's not going to be a fix overnight. But right now in Yamhill County, we don't really have a foundation for, if somebody's thinking about it, come here, let's show you what a quality program is. These are the opportunities. This is even the career or the career choices that you could have. And by having apprenticeship programs, that's the ideal, because people can come in and try it out. They can say, oh boy, what was I thinking? Some people, we have that. We have a staff person that just quit after 1 year. She said, I think I want to go work with dogs. So, which is fine.
Dogs.
But she got to have that experience to
Sure,
make that
sure.
decision. And in an apprenticeship,
Be back.
she will. But in an apprenticeship position, it's this regular ongoing mentoring and, okay, how are you doing with this? And what do you think about that? And, well, I really like this piece of it. How can I do more, in this area? So and we don't have apprenticeship programs here in Yamhill County. We do some kinds of that in Head Start, because we take our parents and we see if they want to work for us and we support them with that. But none of the childcare programs do that. WESD can't do that. They get new people and hopefully they can support them with that. So, because we want people to be successful. And as I always say, children are not who they were 5 or 10 years ago. So really helping people to understand, this is not a naughty child. This is a child who's been through a lot of things. And we're going to teach you the best methods of caring for them to help them be successful and to help you be successful. So
Thank
that's what we want to do and kick off the ground.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There were two things I wanted to kind of go back to. One is a specific, you were asking about the slots and the how many have been generated. So I think what Jenna, in her humility of what they do, the reason those slots exist is because CCR&R supports them. CCR&R is the backbone organization that helps people who are interested in becoming a child care provider or not interested and become interested, get that license. They're the ones that help them get the credits they need to be able to stay licensed. They're the ones that ensure that they are able to provide quality care, and they're the ones that call when they need help. So without CCR&R, those slots would not be existence in our county. In fact, a lot of them would probably be unlicensed rather than being quality care, and we wouldn't even know where kids are in our community. So I think it's just a really important piece about what CCR&R is that they are essential. I also did in-home childcare, and they were the first contact I made when I got into Oregon to open a childcare facility in my home. So they're crucial to that. So while they don't go out and seek places to start preschools or childcares, because that isn't necessarily their role, without them, folks wouldn't know how to do that work. They'd have to navigate that system on their own. I
Okay.
think
And
that's
their
super important.
Big number even includes our Head Start children, because we have to be licensed for childcare. So Jenna's referring to everybody who has gone through, whether it's a person, a family childcare home, a childcare center, a Head Start program, the preschool promise programs. They all are considered licensed childcare, and those are the numbers that are in Jenna's numbers. We actually enjoy our support from CCR&R. We got them on the office right next to ours because they provide coaching to some of our new staff. When our parents are looking for childcare, they can go over there and get some information about what quality childcare is and to be able to look, in the community for what they need. So it's broader. They do so many things. They're a gift. They never had an office in Yamhill County except many years ago when we housed somebody. And then she retired. And then we moved into a small space. So it's really great that they're here locally because they have staff that are here. They live in this community. They're able to, be there and be the face of, we're here to help you if you want a business or if you're running the business. But it's a lot. I mean, it's, we have 510 of those almost 3,000.
So the other piece was the workforce shortage. And so what we know is that much of the workforce shortage cannot be solved unless we have childcare available for working parents, right? And so this is that foundational core piece that will ensure we always have a workforce problem. And we don't have a pathway for early childhood. That's one of the very few places where there is no CTE programs in most places. There is no path to say to high school kids and middle school kids, hey, do you like little kids? Because a lot of them do, right? And that this is actually a career that you could have and professionalize that career so that they can make a living and it can be something long-term. and see value in it. And so that's part of why this is such a crucial piece. Within Willamette ESD, we have opened a regional career technical center. And so early childhood is on the list of next programs potentially. But why shouldn't that happen in Yamhill first, right? Why shouldn't it be here? Yamhill County has done so many things, particularly in early childhood, ahead of other places. And right now we're lagging behind. We don't have apprenticeship programs. We don't have things happening where other places in our state do. And we need that here, particularly where this community is located and what the needs are. And so this really allows partners to come together in a way that we never have before and build a true system to bring kids into a quality care while also empowering their parents to be able to go to work with either in early childhood or in other fields.
Do we have any type of reference on that 2,884 number? I mean, in terms of how many quote unquote slots we have in Yamhill County as a whole? Is there any sort of reference point
I
there?
mean, that's the total number of slots in Yamhill County
Okay.
as that we know that are licensed, that are within our system.
Yeah.
We have no way of knowing
Yeah.
about people who are doing unlicensed care.
So these are licensed.
These are
specific-
licensed.
Okay.
That even
Mom,
includes
you're responsible
the, we were just at a meeting with who's the program that's at McMinnville School District who's doing the childcare right now, Boys and Girls Club.
Mhm.
That even includes all of their spots, and I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
they have 150 maybe?
The 300.
300, okay. So
The 150 are full
Yeah.
but they have 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that include, because I know CPRD has a childcare, they have after school, and then they have a care program. They have during the day, I think during the summer and everything. Does that include that?
CPRD.
Oh, it's the
The
Chehalem Parks and
Chehalem.
Recreation District in the Newburgh Dundee area has had a childcare.
It does.
Astor, so it does include that.
Yeah. So this is not zero. It includes not just 0 to 5, it's 0 to 8.
Okay.
So it includes the before and after school programs as well.
So this number includes all of the licensed
Slots.
Head Start, preschools,
At the high school.
Yeah.
they're licensed for child.
everything that's currently licensed in the county,
Yeah.
In-home centers everywhere.
in-home centers.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
What it doesn't include is the people that, if your neighbor was doing it
Right.
for, her grandchildren, unless they're engaged with ODHS and the employment related daycare, we don't know who those people are if they're not licensed. So,
Thank you.
And those
Yeah.
are some of the people that we would like.
we
to
want,
work
we
with.
want to.
We want them to make more money.
Grandmothers, we need some grandmas in the workforce. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and so am I understanding correctly that the early learning programs, when you say there's 97, are these the programs that are then housing the childcare slots
Oh, yeah.
across?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any sort of reference on how that number has changed, increased, decreased over the past couple of years?
We lost programs during COVID.
Yeah.
It is rebounding a little. I think we were closer to about 120 pre-COVID. It was really hard during COVID to figure out those numbers. So we are down from pre-COVID numbers, but
Okay.
we have been starting to rebound a little bit.
So
Okay.
the childcare providers that were forced to close, has there been any re-engagement effort to say, hey, sorry about that, and that was egregious, to basically say, you're not essential, you can't work, and their business goes away? Any way to get them back?
So that was a conversation actually that Tanya and I had last week about, in terms of, looking at this project, that is one of those places we could go back to those people that closed and target them and say, hey, if there were supports, if there were business supports, if there was money supports.
And all of those mandates are done. Now, the
Yeah.
mandates changed every week.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
they're done for now.
For now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in reopening and doing outreach to them to start out with? I know there is a chunk of that population that are people that were close to retirement and just use that as an opportunity. But there are probably still
Mhm.
a number that might be interested, you know, given the differences that are of the support available, as well as the different not having all those changing requirements on a daily basis.
Thank you.
So kind of thinking back to a couple weeks ago, I really appreciate the deliverables that were put together. That's great to see. And then some more specifics on the budget. The one thing that kind of I keep coming back to is, you know, in terms of the cost of personnel and support programs, those are sort of very clear. We understand what that means and what that looks like. But the early learning center, it's a huge number.
Yeah.
And I would love to review how that number was arrived upon and what goes into it. And also, it's not easy to find space and do all of that. We had that discussion about SDCs last time. What's the plan B? You know, if something doesn't work with that, what's the contingency? Because it's a huge part of this grant.
It is. I have a fair number of people who are out, who have expressed interest in opening something. And obviously there, people have found workarounds for some of the costs, like the SDCs, like finding space within the strip malls or some other things. One of the things we've been exploring, and I've had a meeting with one church, is that there are a fair number of churches who are struggling with finances and needing help with paying for their space. And so I think that's another opportunity, because their zoning is much more accessible to move into doing childcare. And a lot of them already have spaces that are not necessarily difficult to remodel because of the way they were set up. And so I think that that's an opportunity. Our agency was looking for space for an employee childcare in Salem, and we had a number of churches in Salem that were interested in partnering with us. And so I think that that would be, for me at this moment, the plan B. I've already met with one church that was interested. They have some structural issues that might make it a barrier, but I think that reaching out to the faith community and seeing if there are some other opportunities for churches that would like to partner might be a really good place to start.
There might be some school district potential as well.
Yes, that as
Sure,
well.
yeah.
And I will say, I don't know if you know about the Praise Project, but Head Start of Yamaha County was able to get some state funding, and we have 2 new classrooms, which we should have children in 2 weeks. And they were very excited to do that. And we do pay them a small amount of money, even though it's their property, every month, because we want to be able to park there. We want them to be able to insure the whole building. We want them to have security as well as us. And so just be watching, we're going to have a come up on community, come and see how great this partnership is, because they could use that for their congregation on the weekends as well. And so that's kind of a win-win, and it also supports them with their congregation. But for us, it's nobody else is there during the week, and there's parking, and to change the permitting, the occupancy, use allowance, whatever it is, very simple. I mean, really not as complicated, because they are typically in locations where childcare can exist. And that's what's really hard. I talked about this the last time I was here. All throughout Yamhill County, there are different spots where childcare can and cannot be. It's different than in a home, but a childcare center. So they're a great group to tap into.
That's a really good idea. So the funding to pay for that, where does that come from? Through your budget?
It came through our budget. So because of the pandemic, we were understaffed, and we had a little bit of funding left over at the first year after our first year of the biennium. And so we said, we need classroom space. Now we've got an additional 10 classrooms this year that we don't have enough staff, but we will get them.
That's a great location.
It is.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have a model that other churches can see how that's going to work. And I know that the Praise congregation is going to really say, this is such a win-win.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so, Plan B sounds great. I think that's a great idea. But going back to sort of the RFP portion, the Plan A, what can you describe just for our own benefit, what kind of went into that $650,000 number?
So, I mean, part of it was I consulted with people like Little Bird and we talked to other people and when we were doing our group and just looked at, you know, what is sort of a reasonable amount of money for a startup for a program. And that was the estimation of it. They thought that a program could be started for that amount of money. I mean, granted, you could always use more money.
Mhm.
You know, you could always make things nicer. You could always, you know,
And that's for the space, the
Yep,
improvements,
yep,
bathrooms,
yep.
small toilets,
all
right?
that.
All of those little things that have to happen, whatever renovations have to be done to make it compliant for licensing, playground. There's a lot of layers to that.
A couple months of, you know, supplying rent or, you know, helping pay for supplement the cost of the staff, all of those kinds of things until they can become self-supporting and get enough children to be self-supporting.
We just
Okay.
changed one of our offices at our pretty new center into a classroom and it was under $65,000 for permitting. I know, we didn't have the
Permitting,
toilets
yeah.
in the sink, so,
Yeah.
but we had everything else. And, you know, we needed some furniture there, so, and that's a pretty good high quality space.
And
So it's
construction.
not- Yeah, it's not cheap.
Construction right now is like what, 120 or 150 on the dollar, so.
Any work with Lutheran and the Relief Nursery? Just in terms of their model and how they're, any collaboration?
Their model is not specifically childcare, it's their relief care, you know, their
Mhm.
children are there for shorter periods of time. I could, thank you. I could definitely see that as those families get more stable and get their feet on the ground, that this could be a potential career for them or a potential location where their children could go to childcare while they're looking for a job or getting started with a job.
Mhm.
And those are the folks that we always target for all of these new positions. So
Mhm. Great, thank
always
you.
looking for workforce, always looking for
Mhm.
kids.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner, you want to jump in?
Yeah. The great part about this is the business aspect of it. When you can't recruit somebody to be an employee, but you can help them and hold their hand to cut through the red tape and build a business, then you can now all of a sudden get that employee to actually be a business owner. I think that is a great aspect for this, and that's, I like that about this program.
And I think that so much of what we've been talking about is part of why we're struggling so much in early childhood. I mean, there's some other reasons, pay and benefits, and I mean, it's complex, but when you think about what is happening for employees in regular center-based care that is not Head Start, who are doing a fantastic job of supporting new employees, often what happens is you apply for a position. I say, okay, you know, you've done the basic training, you have CPR, go forth into a classroom and good luck. And, you know, hopefully somewhere by osmosis, you figured out how to be with children. And so many of those new employees are struggling because they don't have the skills, they don't have foundational knowledge, they don't know what to do. You know, they may not even know how to change a diaper. And they're just trying to learn as they are in ratio. And so part of so many of them wander off very quickly because they're like, this is awful. I don't have the skills to know what to do in these circumstances. And why in the world would I want to continue to do this? And so the goal of the apprenticeship is to really have a much warmer, and the business piece, but to have a much warmer sort of, let's help you know how to do this. Let's give you the skills and the education so that when, you know, a child is biting another child,
Right.
you know what to do rather than, you're under the table crying along with everybody else and quitting at the end of the day. And then I think that's true with the business skills as well is, people are like, I have my own children at home. I would love to stay home. I love children. And then somebody's like, okay, now
Yeah.
you have to run a
Stack the
business and here's all the rules. And,
You gotta pay taxes. I didn't know about that.
you have to pay taxes and I mean, and you have to figure out what you're going to charge so that you make enough money so that there's all of these pieces that people who love children, that's not necessarily their skill set. And that we really want to help support them so that they can be successful long-term and not, 10 years in be like, I've got to go find another job because I need to retire
And
someday.
it's totally obtainable when you have,
Yeah.
people that have have done that to help guide and, calm the situation. If you're
Yeah.
a new business owner, you're like, you're pulling your hair out. I've never dealt with this before. What do I do? You're a phone call away, or you're going to be there and be like, nope, just relax. We've seen it 100 times. This is what we're going to do, X, Y, and Z, and away we go. So I like that aspect of this.
And it really, the goal is to really prepare them for the possibility, if they're interested in public funding, is, so many programs right now are getting preschool promise and they've never even done a budget before. They're the family childcare, their personal finances are completely mixed with their business finance. They don't even know what to ask for or how much things are costing them or any of it and they're not prepared for public funding and we're setting them up.
Yep.
Okay. Any further questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
all for coming.
Okay, so we will move this to our next meeting pending some additional information that we're waiting on. And that brings us to just a second. Item I, which is other business. I1 is consideration of approval of amendment number 4 to a contract employee agreement between Yamhill County and Christian Bonish County Council, Board Order 18-383 and Board Order 20-432, retroactive to July 1st of 2023. Were those the former amendments, those board orders? Is that what I
Yeah,
those referencing?
those
Okay.
were
Contract.
previous amendments where the
Like, what am I
contract's been
referencing?
updated in
Okay.
prior years. That's right.
Okay. So I will move approval of item I1. Is there further discussion?
No,
None.
thank you for your hard work,
Yes,
Kristen.
thank you.
I know you are, the piles on your desk don't ever seem to get smaller.
Yeah, they're always there, but I, appreciate the opportunity to work with all of you. You've always been very supportive and sorry to see Colton go.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed working with him and he and Jody and Noelle are a huge help. So it's not one person, it's a team, right? So, but thank you for your help and support too. There's certainly a lot going on. I keep waiting, right? I think I've mentioned this to you before. People have always said, well, things slow down in the summer.
Yeah,
Well,
I haven't
things slow
noticed
down
that.
around the holidays.
Nope.
It'll be 13 years in November.
There's no
Waiting for
slowdown.
one of those dips in activity. So it just stays busy. So, but thank you.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Great, thank you. Motion passes. Did I miss something? I feel like this. No, okay. I2, consideration of approval of the ratification of the collective bargaining agreement between Yamhill County and the Yamhill County Juvenile Detention Workers Association, YCJDWA, retroactive to July 1st of 2023 through June 30th of 2026. And I just want to thank the bargaining team for all of the work that was done on this, as well as other contracts that were being bargained at the same time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that goes into it than most people realize. So appreciate that and appreciate our juvenile detention folks too.
Yes.
I will move approval of item I2. Is there further discussion?
None.
None.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Great, motion passes. I3 is consideration of approval of extending provisions of the 2023-2026 collective bargaining agreement with YCJDWA to associated non-bargaining employees. And I discussed this with Christian the other day. This is a total of 3 employees that this would
Correct.
be extended to. Okay,
For this unit, that's right.
for this. unit.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can clarify too, we're not extending the entire contract to
Correct.
those 3 individuals historically. What this has done is allowed for cost of living adjustments, PERS
Benefits,
contributions,
leave
leaves, medical
accruals.
benefits. Some of it makes sure that those same benefits and terms that apply to the folks in the bargaining unit are extended to the non-bargaining managers in that same department.
That way we don't run into potential compression issues.
Right.
And we also continue to keep our management positions competitive, and we're able to fill those positions. And because we don't do something separate for
Mhm.
non-bargaining management. So,
Right, if this wasn't the way in which those issues were handled, there would need to be some sort of
something
separate
else.
action by the board to make sure that those same
Correct.
benefits and things could be extended to those employees. So this is the way that the board has done it historically.
So I will move approval of item I3. Is there further discussion?
None.
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. I4 is consideration of approval of a range wage adjustment for irregular part-time on-call relief staff for juvenile corrections specialists. And it sounds like this is a critical adjustment that we need in terms of our hourly wages.
yeah,
to-
this is really for the juvenile workers, the on-call pool. There's been several adjustments over the previous contract and with this latest contract to the regular full-time folks. But we still need to be competitive for having an on-call pool. So Scott and his team have the ability to have folks if there's any personnel shortages or if they need people to come in and provide coverage. And we found that we haven't made any adjustments to those wages, and he's having a difficult time recruiting and finding folks that are willing to be on call. And so this adjustment is to hopefully address those issues, so then he can again build up his on-call pool and have more of those resources available. This also proves a lot of times, I think most of our regular full-time folks that we have there at one point or another have served in the part-time pool. So this is also a mechanism for doing recruitment, getting folks into the pool. They're getting trained, and it's a step into maybe eventually getting a regular full-time position within there. It's not promised, but it's been helpful in the past.
So are these on-call relief staff? They have necessary certifications and they are working in other jurisdictions, or they're only working for us relief work?
I mean, they could have day jobs and they may be doing on-call work, moonlighting. I don't have the specifics on that, but there's nothing that prohibits that if somebody is has a day job and they're willing to, hey, I'm trained, I've checked all the boxes, I've been through your training program, I'm willing to serve as an on-call relief after hours, that they could be available for that. So yeah, I think all the above. You may have folks that are just looking for, maybe they're just looking for a part-time position or available to do it, or they could be moonlighting or in these positions. I think I haven't specifically looked at the current pool and seen the demographics or what that looks like, but Scott and Jessica might be able to provide some of that information if there's questions around that. Again, really, there's no guarantee of hours.
Mhm.
The hours that they work is when we have a need and they're available and they get called in to provide that service. Otherwise, there's no cost except for when we call them into work.
Okay, thank you.
I would imagine though it's a pretty limited pool of people, so it's also about just retaining them and making them
Sure.
not go elsewhere, so. Okay. Did we have a motion on the table? No. Okay, so I will move approval of item I4. Further discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Great, thank you. Motion passes. I5, consideration of approval of a lease agreement between Yamhill County and the Cove Orchard Sewer Service District for Rex Cruise Park, retroactive to January 1st, 2022. So I will move approval of the lease agreement that was approved by the Cove Orchard Sewer Service District Board earlier.
With amendments to make it a 5-year lease term.
Right.
And
And-
striking.
And striking the renewal clause.
Correct.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ooh, all opposed, same sign. Great, motion passes. Item I6, consideration of approval in the matter of resolution 23-08-17-1 proclaiming Yamhill County's call for the repeal of the provisions enacted pursuant to Oregon ballot measure 110 from 2020, from the year 2020. This was added by Commissioner Starrett.
Thank you, Chair. We were approached by the commissioners in Jackson County, and their hope was that all 36 counties would sign a similar resolution proclamation. And that is to really garner attention on the fact that Measure 110 has been an abysmal failure. And we just saw recently that the director of the services there, a naturopath who was hired to shepherd the program, has resigned, citing some considerable issues regarding lack of support from OHA for services, for people in recovery, for an outreach, for anything that would actually make Measure 110 work. So I believe yesterday, Coos County also approved theirs, and I reached out to their commissioner there, Bob Main, and told him I appreciated that, and said good luck, because you're going to be getting our assistant county counsel, and he said he's looking forward to it, had good things to say about you, Colton. So in that, it seems like a lot of the counties are signing on to make one of these resolution proclamations their own. And it is basically the matter of proclaiming Yamhill County's call for the repeal of the provision enacted pursuant to Oregon ballot measure 110 in 2020, which, as we have seen, has basically proved ineffectual. And we're seeing people die. They're not getting the services that were promised when this ballot measure was proposed. And it's basically, it's not working, and we've got people dying. So I would hope that we can pass this resolution.
That article was stunning. What wasn't as clear, though, was if they've actually spent the funds, have the funds been distributed to some of these recovery programs?
Well,
Does it sound like they have?
what we're seeing in the resignation letter of Dr. Carter was that these nonprofits are working really hard to get some of this work done, but whether or not the funding wasn't there or the follow through wasn't there, that they're just basically saying that OHA leaders opted to wait until emergency measures required the misuse of all available program salary funds on temporary out-of-state staff who have no contact with the public. So there's just been a lot of internal lack of oversight of this program. So I really don't know what the following the money and, that's a whole separate issue.
Is this, I want to say that Clackamas County also passed a resolution similar to this. But maybe even went a step further and placed an advisory vote on their ballot for May of next year. So they're pushing pretty hard.
Right.
Well, thank you for bringing this forward. Commissioner Johnston, any thoughts?
Looks like a good direction to go.
Do you want to make an emotion?
Yes, I will move approval of resolution 23-03-17-1 proclaiming Yamhill County's call for the repeal of the provisions enacted pursuant to Oregon ballot measure 110.
I think that was I think the number is 23-08-171-1, just for clarification.
What did I say? 23-08-17-1? Okay. Okay, thank you for.
I'm
catching
looking
that.
for 03, not finding 03.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Great, thank you. Thank you for calling attention to the issues that we have been given with ballot measure 110. Let's see. I7 is consideration of approval of change order number 1 to an agreement between Yamhill County and Graviton Consulting, Inc. Board Order 21-360 for additional Oracle consultation and support services in the amount of $206,400.
And I can talk about this,
Mhm.
Yeah, so what we have here, Justin prepared the memo and submitted the request, and I also have Mike and Shane here on standby. As Shane presented during his department update, we've been doing this significant heavy lift of replacing our central finance system.
Mhm.
And like Shane touched on, there's three components that three major elements to this project that rolled out. The ERP, which is our central finance, which includes our accounting, accounts payable, accounts receivable, some budget control. That was the first element that went live a year ago. That one went smoothly, and it was still a heavy lift, but we were able to get that one done. The second phase was the budget module, also known as EPM. That went live in December. HCM, which is the HR module, is the current phase of the project that we're working on right now. And the reason this is coming before you is because we did experience delays, and there's several factors that played into this. One, this historically, outside of payroll, a lot of our HR functions did not exist in the old legacy finance system GEMS. We did payroll in that system, but a lot of our other benefit administration, personnel actions, a lot of this other elements that came into HR were in separate outside, in fact, a lot of paper-based systems. We've had both workload challenges and changes in HR over the last couple of years during the buildup to this project. We've also had some turnover and some changes in the finance department with our payroll division and our assistant finance manager position. We've had challenges with some of the data conversion because we're taking data out of a system that the county's been using since 1996. And trying to convert that data and put it into a brand new system. So we've had several delays and challenges associated to this that has affected the final phase of the project, and we've had to delay go live. And originally we were hoping we were going to go live with HCM several months ago, but we had to put that off for several reasons based on all the things that I outlined before. Also, just looking at change management and rolling out, because this is going to have some county-wide changes, like employees entering in their own timesheets, no more of the paper timesheets moving forward, getting folks trained up on that, getting our timekeepers trained on the new system, having our HR team revisit all of our current HR processes that are currently paper that are now going to be electronic, and making sure that our managers are up to speed, revisiting our payroll functions and how things get entered. And we've been doing a lot of parallel testing with running parallels through our test systems and our current system, because we need to get payroll right. We have very small margin or room for error on that when it comes to payroll. And we take that very seriously. And we've been doing a lot of, like I said, we're on our third parallel right now. We're working through those processes and trying to get the system tested. And so we did make the decision to delay going live, but we're about to go live next week with some elements, and we're going to roll out some additional phases. In order to do that, because a lot of it was internal, it wasn't a system generated. That's why we need this change order, because we've had to delay this rollout. And we also anticipate we're going to need continued support moving forward as we go live. We built in some of that into the original contract, but we found that there are gaps And we have experienced delays over the last year. I don't know, I'm doing all the talking. Justin, did I miss anything or anything you wanted to add? Or I'm looking at Mike and Shane.
Oh, just so then, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So we had, I mean, in the original contract, there was the acknowledgement that there would be ongoing support
Right.
and there was a dollar amount, but this is because we need extra help.
We need extra help. You know, we're recognizing, you know, because we run pretty lean when it comes to central admin, and we've been training new folks at the same time. You know, it's kind of hard that, you know, because any programmer or any outside vendor, they're going to be looking for us. Well, tell us about your processes. And so if you have turnover, as an example, I'll pick on HR. So because this is the HR module, and it's, you know, so we were doing a lot of work and preparing for rolling out the HR module, and then we had a change in the office, and now Patricia's been with us for quite some time. Well, she's trying to learn the current processes that we have in place and trying to determine how is this going to work in the new system. It has created some challenges and contributed to some of the delays. And then also, you know, the timing of go live, there's like no perfect time of year to do this. And we're going live while we're finishing up open enrollment period right now for benefits. Also contract negotiations hasn't helped things, because again, we're dealing with our payroll and HR functions. So we've been in negotiations on 4 open contracts. You ratified 2, you know, one of the contracts, there's another one on the agenda. So hopefully we have 3 of the 5 contracts off the table, but we still have our 2 largest contracts that are open. All of those come with changes. How do you, first we have to build into the current payroll system how we pay out incentives, how we calculate leaves, how we, you know, I'm getting really into the weeds here, but there's a lot of elements that are built into the system. So we have to take the existing data out of an old legacy system, get it to where it speaks Oracle. We input that, but then it all changes. We have people coming and going. We have CVA language that changes. We have new paid leave Oregon. We have a new program that gets rolled out from the state. We have to factor in those deductions. And then we're learning how do we build that into the system. So it's created a lot of challenges, and that's why we're at this point right here that we need to extend this contract and ensure that we have sufficient support and try to build some comfort to a certain degree that we're almost to the finish line with this. I mean, we're going to go live. We see the finish line. And we are probably going to have some bumps in the road, but what I want to make sure is we minimize the size of those bumps that we may run into. And so the intent of this is to make sure that we have the support we need from Graviton moving forward. Hopefully that answered your question. There's a lot of moving pieces to this. And so there's a lot to unpack, and that's why we're here.
So
Okay,
is the
thank you.
expectation is that that number covers another year, or?
It's mostly to cover the fact that we asked for a third parallel.
Yeah. That's the other part too, is we put an additional requirement because originally we were just going to run 2 parallels and we asked for a third.
What's a parallel?
A parallel means that it's a simulation. So we have our production site or our test site, and we're doing a payroll right now. So we're inputting basically payrolls into 2 systems. And when we generate the checks, then we start seeing, do our numbers match? Do the
Okay.
withholdings look right? Does the paycheck look right? Are we calculating leaves correctly? We've done 2 parallels, and this next one, you're right, is also to facilitate that third parallel, which is actually going to be our biggest test that we're doing before,
Okay.
you know, as part of the go live, we're going to be running both systems, both GEMS and Oracle in parallel, inputting data, and it's going to be a huge lift. We're going to need their support. And then internally, we also have all of our various timekeepers that are working in the various departments in the payroll department, doing a lot of entry into 2 systems. So then we can do a check that we feel good that when we do our first payroll in Oracle, that it's right.
Okay.
Now,
I've
for
heard-
the invoice, comes due, or the work's done on the 24th. Is this going to be ongoing though? If I'm understanding you right, it's
It's
going to actually
both.
be down the road for almost a year's worth of?
It's gonna be both.
support?
There's ongoing support that we already have in place, and then this is also to pay for that third parallel. Yeah.
And Graviton's been a great partner with us. They, I mean, I guess I can just say it out loud. They haven't gotten paid in months because we have delayed this project because we've struggled so much. And so that's part of what this is to pay them what they've already been doing. They're a good partner. They're gonna get the job done regardless.
Right.
But we need to also compensate them for what they're doing.
So is there gonna be more on top of this? Because what I'm looking at 624 to 824. 824 is
Mhm.
not that far away. So is there
Right.
gonna be more on top of this?
The way they've couched it, and it's in the agreement is, it says 824, that's because that's the parallel they're doing.
Right.
Once they get through this third parallel, then we're back into the old contract again,
Right.
which is for the
Int-
support.
Interesting.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, this has been. Well, we've been working internally on this for 3 years now. And so, and which is not unusual. This is, again, we're replacing our central finance system. And Mike hasn't retired yet. Thank you, Mike.
And has no
But I'll
plans to.
collapse first.
Thank you.
I have learned how to do payroll within the last year. It's different when you work for yourself. It's not as complicated, but I've had to learn all of that. It's a steep learning curve. And I can't imagine having to do it for hundreds of people. But it sounds pretty nice if the software, the backend software lets you put in, bilingual pay, incentives, pay, time off, reimbursements, all that stuff. If it all integrates behind the scenes, that's pretty nice.
It's called ADP.
Yeah,
That's what I use.
yeah.
It's plug the hours in, they take care of everything else from there. They send you the checks, they do all the withholding.
But we
they
have
pay-
so much more than just hours, though. It's all these
Yeah. we
added
don't send it
layers.
out, We
Yep.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
No thanks.
Yeah, so we do it, and so we have to make sure, because we're the ones, it's Shane's team, it's the payroll team, it's the
Yeah.
HR team, making sure
Yeah.
that all that data and like when a new collective bargaining agreement gets approved, and if
Right.
there's a change to the COLA,
Yeah.
we have to program that COLA into the system.
Mhm.
And yeah,
But once you learn it, it's kind of like, okay, I know how to do this, but then if anything
thanks.
changes, it's,
I'm good.
yeah. So, okay.
Thanks. for the work.
And just, so this would come out of which budget?
this is gonna come out of Fund 40 where we've been
40,
paying for
okay.
all these funds.
Okay.
Yeah. Paying
Okay.
for all these projects, not paying for the funds.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike.
So I will move approval of item I7. Is there further discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion passes. Item I8 is consideration of approval of the ratification of the collective bargaining agreement between Yamhill County and the Yamhill County Deputy District Attorneys Association, YCDDAA, retroactive to July 1st, 2023 through June 30th of 2026. And again, I want to thank our bargaining team for the work that was put into this.
Yes.
I will move approval of item A8. Are there questions or discussion?
No.
None.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. That brings us to item I9, consideration of approval of extending provisions of the 2023 through 2026. That should say 6. Collective bargaining agreement with YCDDAA to associated non-bargaining employees, and this constitutes one employee, I believe. So I'll move approval of item I9. Is there further discussion?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Great, motion passes. I10, consideration of approval of an application for funding from the Oregon Department of Veterans Services in the amount of $139,866 for the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
Chair, I just want to add that there are other funds that are allocated to this to this department. And it's 314,000 from county funds, county general funds. And this is just an addition of 139,866 for a total of 454 for the total revenue. So I would move approval.
Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Great, thank you. Motion passes. I think that's it for that part of other business. Item J is public hearings. There's nothing today. And that brings us to announcements. Commissioners, any announcements?
So we've been working with a volunteer organization called Hair Aid, and they go around the world and teach third world country folks in small communities how to cut hair for employment opportunities. There are some volunteer stylists who are going to be joining us. I've asked them to give some haircuts to the kids at Youth Outreach and to the folks, some of the folks at Provoking Hope in September, so that we will get a number of folks spruced up for the school year.
Back to school.
Back to school, and I appreciate their willingness on their day off. This will be Monday for the first one. And I appreciate their willingness to work in the community for folks who might have a hard time paying for a haircut.
Mhm.
So
It's called
look-
Hair Aid.
Hair Aid, and
Right.
Tatiana Dennis has been she's been going all over Thailand and all over Cambodia. I said, what about Yamhill County? He's like, okay, we'll do it. So we're gonna
Right.
see how this goes, starting
Great.
Monday.
Great. Any announcements?
Parkway committee met this morning. Pretty much the same stuff. Phase 2A of the bypass is still, they're waiting for, the bid's still delayed till February. They're still continuing to work on right of ways and utilities and moving all that stuff while they're waiting for the bids to go out. That's the Winooski interchange.
Mhm.
2B, which is the 219 Cloverleaf. Or no, 219, 50% design. So this is the portion coming down Rex Hill.
Mhm.
50% design is done. They're actively working on purchase of right of ways right now. They're transferring funds that were, they had plenty of funds left over from the first phase that they're going to transfer, and that's what they're waiting for now is all the intergovernment transfers to happen so they can go start purchasing right of ways for the phase 2B. 2B1, which is Rex Hill, they're going to widen it and realign Corral Creek. They're waiting on environmental approvals. There's 3 culverts they were going to replace. One of them is going to get paid for by ODOT with the culvert program. The other 2 will have to be part of the bypass funds.
Mm.
And then phase 2BC. Oh my God. That's 99 McDougal Corner. They're funding for design right now because it's just a disaster
Mhm.
intersection. So it's
Yep.
going to be the one right by the scales and then the actual McDougal interchange and then Stoller Road and then the other one. So they're right now trying to figure out what the best redesign is and what can fit within the budget of the funds that they think they're going to get. Then some conversation led into, which was not on the list, of Lafayette Highway and Highway 18, which is a terrible intersection.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we got onto Crookshank by the airport and
Yes.
18, which is another terrible intersection. And so as the conversations went on, Anna Hansen with ODOT, she finally is like, just let's stop here and let me come out because she's like, we're probably due to have an update from Yamhill County. So she's going to come out and meet with me and Chris Chenoweth actually is going to join us with that and just kind of go over different projects that are going on in Yamhill County, what needs to be addressed, where we're at with them, like Lafayette Highway. They're late summer 2024 for design, and then construction is proposed for 2027. So that's what we're kind of thinking for that intersection with roundabout. So it is on the radar, but it's more just kind of get updates, see where we're at. And so that they're aware that they know they're bad intersections, but they need to know how bad they are. I mean, the one at Crookshank, it's once a week
I
where
won't let
you
my-
see somebody, there's two
kids drive
problems.
by.
One is people are in that turn lane
Uh-huh.
and they don't know they're in the turn lane. They keep
Right.
right on going and then they
Right.
end up swerving into the airport's towers there. And that's when they put all those Jersey barriers up there. But every week those Jersey barriers are moved because somebody's hitting them. And then the other thing is, and I've been one of those cars where I'm in the turn lane and there's another one just beside me. Well, the person turning that wants to turn in front of me, they think they're okay because I'm in the turn lane.
Can't see.
No, they end up getting T-boned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's
So
a
dangerous.
nasty intersection.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I had from Parkway.
That's really important. Those are two, and if you look at how many times those traffic accidents come up,
Oh, yeah.
it's sometimes.
Yeah, and they're
several
nasty
times
ones too.
a
They're,
day. Yeah.
oh, and I asked why they're paving from Ash Road in Dayton, 18 to, I think it's Oldsville or Masonville or something out on the other side of McMinnville on 18.
Mm.
But they're missing one section in between by Lowe's. And I'm just like, I drive sawdust truck on that numerous times. And I'm like, that's like the worst section ever. And they're like, no, that they explained it in a way that it's not the same. They're not doing an overlay on that section. They actually have to do a dig down because it is worse. They have to do a dig down and rebuild. So because it's not the same parameters of the project that's on each side, it has to wait.
It's a
That's
different
why they're
project.
not doing that because it's a more in-depth project.
Mm.
They got to do a dig down and rebuild the base. And so
Mm.
they made it sound like it's still on the radar to redo that, but it just driving through, I'm like, what in the heck's going on? You got brand new pavement here and brand new pavement on the other side, but nothing in the middle. So anyway,
Glad you asked.
yes.
Did they say anything about the labor issue? Is it impacting all of ODOT's, projects across the state, or is it?
Nope, the only one that they ever bring up with the labor is phase 2A. That's the only one that they ever bring up the bid delayed until February for under labor negotiations. And it's specific to that project.
Strange.
Yep, it is very strange.
Hmm.
But if you guys have any questions you want me to ask Hannah, I'll pass them along.
Did you say she was coming?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or you guys want to be part of that too, I can let you know.
coming to the board to do an update? or
No,
coming to
no, just,
Parkway?
no, during the Parkway meeting, she's like, I should probably have a one-on-one with you guys.
Okay.
Because they were very specific to our area and she didn't really want to waste everybody
Oh,
else's time.
Sure, okay.
But if you guys want to be a part of that,
No, you can,
and then I can relay.
that would be a meeting.
That'd be a meeting in here.
Well, yeah.
Why can't we have a meeting outside?
I mean,
Everybody's
If
got
you
a
want
laptop.
to, if you want to invite her on.
Or well,
That's fine.
I mean, it
I'll
doesn't have
meet
to
with- it's
physically
fine.
be in here
It's
as
a
long
joke.
as we can record it and,
I was just noticed.
notice it.
Courthouse steps.
we'll start with you and then
Okay.
you can come back and.
Okay.
But thank you for that.
I just wanted to thank our firefighters, first responders, the sheriff's office for handling the heat over the past week and the brush fires, and I lost count of how many there were, 5 or 6 at least over the weekend.
Yep.
So just thanks to them. I was out driving late Sunday night and they were still out there with their floodlights and, watching for flare-ups and everything. So
So was that a down power, the one on Rexel, was it a down power line?
Was it
Or
vegetation
did
fire?
the fire cause the power to go out?
I haven't heard, I asked the sheriff if there was anything concerning from his standpoint or law enforcement standpoint, and they said not yet. We don't know anything yet, so.
Power was out for about, there were 2 power outages,
Mhm.
Dundee and Newburgh area, so it was out for quite a while.
Hmm.
Till about 11 that night.
And the only other thing I have is just a reminder that we won't be back for formal until 8:31. So,
And just really quick update, because based on Joya's last communication with me, it looks like the AC issue is not going to get resolved for the venue. So
Okay.
I went ahead and told her to go ahead and start communicating out. They were suggesting a venue change, but I think at this point, to go and try to change to another venue
Right.
this last minute with that many attendees. So I said, go ahead and send out notice that we're going to cancel due to the HVAC issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where did we end up out with RSVPs? How many?
At the time, I think there were
72 or 3.
75.
Oh.
So
We have contact information aside from emails in case people aren't checking their emails. Do you have any?
We're gonna try our best,
Yeah.
but contacting 75 people and letting them know,
All right.
Noia was gonna go ahead and start all the registered folks. And knowing that most were cities.
Yeah.
You know, so like, as an example, you know, if City of Sheridan, I'll pick on them, you know, Heidi's probably gonna
Yeah.
communicate whoever was attending from their council and mayor, you know,
Right.
so. We'll make sure that the city managers are included in that loop, but I think they were all on the registration list, so.
and
We're
then
gonna, so we're gonna do more than just an email. We're gonna call at least the managers,
We can
just in case the email gets.
Yeah,
lost.
and we're also working with COG because I reminded because, you know, Scott and Linda usually help us facilitate that. So we're also looping them in as well.
We can also call folks that, because we've been reaching out
Do
to
you-
try to get.
Yeah,
folks
I
to-
got,
have a
I
list?
have
Do
a
that
list of my
ourselves.
own that I need to.
Okay. Are we refunding money? I mean, are we, okay.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
refund. Right now, I'm just trying to get the details. I don't have on, you know, because again, with the caterer
Yeah,
and everything
right.
else with that, I'm still waiting on those details, but it doesn't make sense to have that large of a group in an unconditioned,
No.
air-conditioned
No.
space. So,
If
you
for some
suggesting
reason
the next one?
we have food that we can't return, is everybody good with donating it?
I'll find out.
Okay.
So,
Donating it to YCAP or,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Okay, so we will,
so no local government dinner tonight.
right, we'll send out the notice.
But thank you, everyone who worked on it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of people working on it, and thanks to Julie and everybody else. Thank you.
I made the suggestion of maybe partnering with the next city. So if it's Willamina or whoever
Willamina.
is coming up next, maybe we just do a joint dinner and tag on to them. So save, prizes or whatever we had gathered and
Yeah,
We'll
you
see
may
if we can do that.
remember that last winter, can't remember who was hosting it, but we had to cancel because that was
Right.
a snow and ice event and they
yeah, we
canceled.
were. So I don't think they rescheduled. So, rather than having two dinners, maybe we just sort of talk to Willamina, if that's who the city is, I don't know, but. Okay,
Okay.
alrighty. Anything else for the good of the order?
Thank you.
Okay, I will adjourn the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners formal session for August 17th.